Welcome to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. I'm Bill Bischoff, FEMA Region 6 Community Preparedness Officer, and we're going to be talking about community preparedness matters that affect Region 6 states and tribal nations, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Texas, and the tribal nations therein. We hope you enjoy the show.
Rock and roll.
Welcome to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. My dear friend and longtime colleague, Dan Heerding, City of Clovis Emergency Manager. It is good to have you here. And let me just jump right into it. Congratulations on winning the Region 6 community. It'd be the Youth Preparedness Award out of our Region 6 Community Preparedness Awards. Congratulations, and it's good to see you.
Good morning, sir. Good to see you too, and thank you very much. It was a well-received award. I couldn't have done it by myself. Obviously, there's a lot of partners involved, and the big shout out goes to those students who were part of it.
Well, and it doesn't say, like I just said, you're a longtime colleague. It has not been built in a day. It seems like this is a program that there's been a lot of brick laid into it over the years. Can you tell me how you started it and where you are now?
Sure, absolutely. So, was 2017, I got approached by our senior instructor for the junior ROTC at the high school. We only have one high school in the city of Clovis, so it was pretty easy. He approached me along with the senior student leadership of the ROTC and says, "Hey, can we do this?" I was like, "Okay, let me give me a second. Let me look." I really didn't know a whole lot about the CERT program. Thankfully, I reached out to one of our instructors here at the university who is a CERT instructor. And I said, "Larry, can we work this?" And he says, "Absolutely." So we got together, a day later. I mean, that's how long it took me, a day, right? Let's do this, right? Absolutely. We sat down, we hashed it out. We sat down with the principal and the leadership of the high school, and okay, here's what we did. Here we are in 2022, still going. Obviously, COVID put a kink in everything. School got shut down, so pretty much we got shut down. We're going to be rebuilding here. November, I'm hoping to start this really back up again. So we're rocking and rolling.
Well, and when you say that original start, so you're talking about Larry Nelson, whom I also know from having attended your youth preparedness camp there. And also I know Larry through our Region 6 Higher Education Collaborative there at Eastern New Mexico University. So yes. Larry and you and the gentleman at ROTC got it going in ROTC first. Is that how that went?
Correct. So the first year it was a learning year. I wasn't, too familiar with it. That year I went to FEMA, to the Emergency Management Institute, did the whole CERT program there, the program manager and the instructor side. So I educated myself. I sent Major Alan Fields from the ROTC. I sent him there to help also to EMI. That first year, Larry taught, we helped. The second year, we all jumped in this and did it. That first year was really a building year for us. So everything was out of pocket, right? Out of budget, out of pocket. That second year and subsequent years from them, state of New Mexico through the grant programs, through Citizen Corps and all that, really have helped us build our team to the capability it is today. So that was phenomenal with that help from the state funding through the grant funding programs.
Right. Well, and my recollection is we also were able to get you and Jeremy Cuddy back, who is now at City of McKinney, but was at that time New Mexico Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and has since been succeeded by Zach Wachter, who seems to have followed right in his footsteps and is working hand in hand with you and other New Mexico partners to really continue to fan the flames of youth preparedness there.
Oh, absolutely. You invited us down to Texas to do their youth camp. Actually, you let me come twice. So that So that second year, Jeremy Cuddleback and I sat down, we hashed it out. We came up with an overall reaching state program. Because of that camp, the following year, I believe that was 19, we did a youth preparedness camp here in New Mexico, here at Eastern New Mexico University, with the help of Larry Nelson and all the other folks, and Rose out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico,
Rose
and several other
Martinez,
folks.
yeah, Vicky
Yeah.
Boyles out of East Mountain, and then I remember you had stalwarts out of your program from the ROTC that stepped in. A young man that was teaching radio.
Yep.
Just what?
Yeah, I can't think of his name, escapes me right now.
Yeah, but just a number of really talented folks that all threw in together. And I remember thinking, gosh, this is truly a family affair. I remember your daughter being involved. I remember that Jeremy Cuddyback's wife was who I believe had EMS or police training, had a baby on the hip while she was doing some training.
Yeah, so she was a nurse. She's a nurse.
Yeah.
She did the medical portion of it. My assistant did she's a trained counselor at that time, so she did that respect aspect of the course. So yeah, we had some talented folks really help us.
Absolutely. And coming out of that program, I know you're very proud of your daughter who's done a lot of things there. And then I know that we refer to a couple of folks pretty frequently, one being Isaiah Hatfield. Yes. Some years ago, you shared with us that I think it was his stepmother was suffering a heart attack, and he was able
some respiratory arrest. We had actually just done a CPR class, just a month or so prior, and he put those skills. We hope we never have to put those skills to use. Fortunately, he had those skills, and he was able to revive her, sustain till advanced life support was there. I'm happy to say she made a full recovery. So yes, and those are all skills we attributed to stuff we've done through this CERT program. So
right. And then James Burrows later, I believe he became the Region 6. I know he was big in your program, but he also became the chair of the Region 6 Youth Preparedness Council when we were up and running. And I think he has since moved on to other places and doing great things out there in the world.
He's actually at West Point right now.
That's what I was recalling. I just remember he was an impressive young man. I know that he came to that Texas Youth Preparedness Camp that we were discussing a few minutes ago and participated there, and was one of the first folks that I'd seen in the years I'd been going to it. And for those listening, Texas Youth Preparedness Camp, now run by Laura Stone there at Texas School Safety Center, has been a blessing across the region. We all went and they were gracious enough to let us check out how they do it and participate, and then go back and do it in our own jurisdiction. So with that, you and New Mexico were able to put something on. Arkansas has put Oklahoma, right. Louisiana, everybody across the board has been able to do their own once they kind of got a look at how to do it. But I remember that James was the incident commander for the big, big last day exercise. He was impressive to watch in action, as I'm sure he is even more so now. But it was one of the first times when you have that many kids from Texas, if you got a New Mexico kid that comes in and is put in that incident command spot, that says something about that kid. So. The fact that he's now at West Point. So
yeah, he ran with it and very successfully helped that situation. And that's the same with the whole team. We did a CERT rodeo at University of New Mexico that year also. We took the kids out there. I always refer to them as kids. They're students, young adults.
Right.
They'll always be my kids, right? We took them out to University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, where we had a CERT rodeo, and we did the teens with the adults, and we had several scenarios. I tell you what, those students, they went in there and said, okay, adults, move out of the way. We got this. And they kind of just, well, let's go. They were business, and the adults kind of, were just like, okay, what happened here? But
That's it.
those kids that were driven, and they were wildly successful in that event too.
Fantastic.
Kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, so how often, now you're on the rebuild, so let's just talk generally, because I do understand rebuild. We've seen it across the region. COVID's still lingering out there, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And we're still at the rebuild. Everybody across the region is, every jurisdiction, one way or another is.
Yeah.
So with that, I'd ask, typically, how big is your class? Is it still ROTC based, or is it grown into something more school wide, or what do you have? How often does it meet?
So after that first year, because we were very successful, we talked, and we talked, with the school, and says, okay, let's offer this to the whole school. Any student who would like to participate is more than welcome. And at that time, the ROTC program is working with our middle school, one of our middle schools, to do a Civil Air Patrol program. So we invited those students into the next classes and subsequent classes, which also brought some additional instructors in, some teachers.
Oh, good.
We kind of made a decision to be part of the teen CERT proper, you had to be ninth grade through senior. But the other students, we would allow them to come in the training and allow them to be part of that. So when they hit that ninth grade, they were automatically into the program, if they wanted to be. So that really helped us build our team. The one class, I think we had 30 students. So that was quite a handful that year. And we typically try to do one full CERT class at the beginning, that first semester of the school year. And then we try to do some trainings, once a month, or do something once a month with the students to keep their interest up. An exercise. We've integrated our teen CERT with the Clovis Fire Department. We did a full-scale exercise involving one of our long-term care facilities one year. And we had the teen CERTs out there. Some of them played patients. Some of them were actual part of the response team. And we did it with the hazmat team. So we incorporated other factors of the junior ROTC, like they have a drone program. We used the drone to overfly the hazardous material situation, how to evacuate seniors. The students played the seniors. So we've incorporated them several times in some of our community exercises, which they've loved it, because they get to interact with our real world responders. We have a fireworks display every year. Those students, set up a little command post next to the police department, fire department, and they're force multipliers for our EMS folks. We're a relatively small community. So they have a little bit of training. They're an extra set of eyes and ears for those responders. They ride with them. They get to interact with them and be part of that overall team. It helps our community. And we also hope it sparks an interest in public safety for those students. And maybe they'll come back somewhere and do something like that.
I was going to ask, it's still a young program, so it may be that you're not where you're able to see it yet, but I was wondering if you've seen any interest so far in any of your students going into public service or emergency management or first response careers.
We're not that far. I know one of our students the first year, she went into nursing school. So, that's a start, right?
Right.
A lot of these professions, you have to be 21 sometimes to go. So we're just on the cusp of that, attaining that age, even from the first group. So, but yeah, no, I think overall, we've had a lot go into the military in the service that way, which is right. Great also.
Right.
So, yeah.
What's the culture in the school and the city, I guess, since you've instituted this program? has it changed any way in either place?
The school's been very supportive from the beginning. This last year, there's a new principal in the school, so we're reestablishing that, connection. But the old principal came up to me and says, "Dan, don't let this program die. It's too successful. It's too good for this school." I said, "Absolutely, sir. We're working it." He said, "Fantastic." So I know it's made an impact on the district level, for the municipal schools here. But it's been very positive. Our political leadership here in the city has been very supportive also of it. When we graduate a class, I bring them before our city commission, and they get recognized in a public forum. These students come up, they get a recognition from the mayor and from the commissioners, and they seem to like that. So I'm like, okay, let's keep this going. Let's give them some recognition. These students deserve it. They work there.
I believe you both do. And as we've gone through this nightmare of over the last, I guess a few months, where we've had a reckoning with school safety, of course, sparked by the horror at Uvalde. Is that something that when your school leaders look inward, do they get a sense of comfort from having CERT and that emergency preparedness training there on the campus?
I haven't heard anything directly, but I would imagine so. And that's kind of one of the pushes we kind of give. These students are your very first responders to something like that, right? They have some basic training. They know how to do basic life support. They understand how our law enforcement, how our fire department, EMS responders are going to be there, so they can start helping the instructors set up how this is all going to work. They have a very intimate knowledge. Part of the criteria, we make them do the independent study, the ICS 100, 200, 700, and 800. We have them do that so they understand how to interact with the other responders.
How it all fits together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And once they say, "Do we have to keep doing this every year?" Like, no. Once you get that FEMA cert, you're good.
Well, every bit of the training just sounds like emergency management overall, which is a combination of the training and understanding of the working relationships, who does what and how it all gets done, and what you're responsible for. So it sounds like you're doing a great job to push them along, not just through emergency preparedness and emergency management training, but also along that corridor of their life, that they're going to need this as they move forward with their careers, their families, and their futures.
Right. Yeah. So we're trying to, prepare the community, prepare them to be part of a community and that well-being of the community. And, if something does happen in their personal lives, they're a little bit better prepared to handle it. That's one of our goals.
Well, I think you're doing it well. I just want to thank you, Dan, because it's been my pleasure to work with you for several years as you and your partners there have been building this program. And I've always been very pleased with your willingness to share what you've got going, how you're doing it, so that others can benefit. And you're helping Clovis along, you're helping New Mexico along, and you're helping Region 6 along. So thank you for winning the Region 6 Youth Preparedness Award of the Region 6 Community Preparedness Awards. And thank you for doing all that you're doing. We appreciate you very much.
That about does it for this episode. We'd like to thank Laura Brown from Arkansas Tech University's Emergency Management Program for her assistance editing this podcast. And we'd like you, the listener, to give us a like if you're so inclined, and share us with somebody else that might want to help prepare their community. Until next time, take care of you and yours.